Welcome to TNA Cross the Line. What is up, everybody? Sierra Daredevil bringing you another episode in our TNA series. It is the Impact After Turning Point. It is the special Thanksgiving episode of Impact. And it is also not the go-home show, but it is 10 days out from the special Knockouts Knockdown event, and we've got quite a bit of stuff to go over. We've got the fallout from Turning Point to go over. We have the build to the Knockouts Knockdown event to go over, as well as everything else happening in the world of Total Nonstop Action. We open up our episode of Impact featuring Kurt Angle in the ring. Angle says that he was glad to be there to watch James Storm get some retribution on Bobby Roode this past Sunday night. He was glad to see Team Dixie continue to splinter and struggle. However, as great as it was to see Storm have that happen, he realized that he wants that for himself. He wants that revenge for himself. He wants it against EC3, because EC3 was the one who defeated him, albeit in a handicap match, at Bound for Glory. But he's going to wait on that one. He's going to make EC3 sweat and worry for when his time comes. So for tonight, he's going to get his revenge on someone else. See, the doctors have cleared him to compete once again, and so tonight, he gets his revenge on Rockstar Spud. Crowd goes crazy as Angle's music hits and he leaves the ring. Commentators putting over tonight's show as Angle heads to the back. The announced matches for tonight, we have our turkey suit match, which we will get into when we get to that match itself. We have AJ Styles versus a mystery opponent that will be decided by Chris Sabin. And, now we have the announced match of Kurt Angle versus Rockstar Spud. But on top of that, we also have our second semifinal matchup in the Knockouts Tag Team Title Tournament to determine who will go on to Knockouts Knockdown to take on the beautiful people in the finals for the titles. Should be a crazy show because there's a lot of other matches and segments happening on the show in front of 9,590 people in the Mobby Center in Oklahoma. After that, we have an opening contest that gets a 56, which isn't too bad, featuring Sonata defeating Kenny Omega in 722 by pinfall with a moonsault. Sonata, former X Division champion that hasn't really been doing much at all since he kind of stumbled and fell in the Bound for Glory series. But he gets a victory here over Kenny Omega, who looked good in his matchup at Turning Point, answering the open challenge of Jay Lethal. So these two men have a somewhat decent matchup. Not great, but to be fair, neither one of them are really that popular at all right now. So, it is what it is, but 56 rating's not too bad for an opening contest there. After that, MVP and Bobby Lashley make their way out to the ring. MVP says that he talked to Eric Bischoff earlier in the night before the show started, and says that he has the glorious chance to announce to the world that he is allowed to compete in the ring once again. However, it comes with a stipulation. He's not allowed to compete in singles matches. He's only allowed to compete in tag team matches with Bobby Lashley. So tonight, the rise of Bobby Lashley continues, but this chapter of this rise is the rise to the TNA World Tag Team Championships. So Bobby Lashley still going out and dominating people, but this time he's going to have MVP in the ring with him. Truth be told, kind of had to do this because Bobby Lashley, one, is not doing as well in the ring as I was hoping for. So it's kind of hard to really push him when he's getting outperformed by at least half of our roster, or basically half of our roster. And two, part of the reason why he's getting outperformed by half of our roster is because he's declining physically. So kind of need to put him in a tag team setting. So we're going to kind of run with Lashley still on his rise to the top of TNA, but we're going to do it in a tag team format heading forward with him and MVP. And their match gets a 59 as Bobby Lashley and MVP defeat Garrett Bischoff and Crazy Steve in 630 when MVP pinned Garrett Bischoff with a playmaker. MVP was head and shoulders above everybody. He had a 64, 53 from Lashley, who seemed off his game, 44 from Crazy Steve, and 36 from Garrett Bischoff. Some slight notes here. Crazy Steve, basically on his own now. The Menagerie have all but kind of disappeared from TNA. Nux was released, and so was the Freak. They just weren't getting any better. I gave them months of matches on Explosion and in dark matches and everything, and they just weren't really getting any better in ring. So I kind of got rid of them. But Crazy Steve is still around, and he's going to be kind of trying to find something to do here in TNA. But here tonight, his team takes the loss in 6.5 minutes. MVP with the big performance there. And we kind of go on from there. After that, Austin Aries is backstage. Cameras on him. Typical TNA promo where the camera's there and it seems like the cameraman asks a question, but you don't really see the cameraman or hear the question. Aries says that he couldn't get the job done at Turning Point, but he was able to show that he can go with the best of them. Johnny Impact was the better man on that night, but next time, Aries will aim to be the better man. He says he knows that Magnus is next in line for a title match, but that after that, he'll be doing what it takes to get himself another shot at the title. So, kind of helping clarify that he's not out of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship picture just quite yet. After that, we go back to the ring for our semifinal matchup of the Knockouts Tag Team Title Tournament. In a poor matchup, because all 4 of these women are still considered unimportant. I tried to do what I could to boost the popularity of either Melissa or Eagles before this show, but it didn't work out for me. Nevertheless, in a poor matchup, Team Kick defeats Cheerleader Melissa and Madison Eagles in 850 when Evie pinned Madison Eagles with a talk to you later. During the match, Jessie McKay provided a distraction on Madison Eagles. Of course, if you remember back to, I believe that was Bound for Glory. Jessie McKay and Madison Eagles got into a brawl backstage. They've been having some issues with each other on Explosion recently, and Jessie McKay cost their team the semifinal matchup here. 40 rating for the match. Could have been better. Was hoping for it to be better, but it is what it is. Not too worried about the crowd being cool because we will build them back up. Trust me on that one. Nevertheless, Eagles looks enraged and chases after Jessie McKay. Of course, Allison Danger was there at ringside to make sure nobody actually got physically involved, which is why McKay only just provided distraction. So Danger goes up after Eagles and McKay, trying to make sure that they don't get into a physical altercation with each other. Evie and Nixon Newell celebrate going on to the finals. Beautiful people then come out from the back and stare down Team Kick as commentators put over this being the finals match for the Knockouts Tag Team titles in just 10 days. So it is official. It is going to be the Beautiful People taking on Team Kick, with the winners becoming the new TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Should be pretty exciting there. After that, we get our turkey suit match, a 3-way match featuring Colt Cabana, El Generico, and Robbie E. And in 640, Colt Cabana gets Robbie E to submit to the Billy Goat's Curse in a 63 rated matchup. Colt Cabana carried the match in terms of in-ring performances. Robbie E was a weak link. 63 rating. This was done as a comedy match. I wanted to put more people in the comedy match, but the only other people who could do a comedy match outside of these 3 was Eric Young, who's teaming with Colt Cabana, so that would have been weird. And I think Kevin Steen was the only other one who was teaming with Generico. So it was like, well, I can't really put all of them and I don't really want to put all of them in there and then have it be weird where they're like taking on each other or whatever. So I just decided, you know what, we'll just put a separate member of the team in each of those and kind of go from there. So there was that. Colt Cabana gets the victory and actually gets Robbie E to submit. Therefore, Robbie E is the one who has to put on the turkey suit. After the match, Robbie E slowly comes to and realizes he lost the match. He freaks out and tries to run away, but Kevin Steen and Eric Young come out to stop him from escaping. The 4 men then end up putting the turkey suit on Robbie E as the crowd laughs and cheers for Robbie E running around in the turkey suit. The 4 men then shake hands with each other as Robbie E freaks out about wearing the suit. So remember at Turning Point, they had a little bit of a moment backstage where they're, Cabana and Eric Young were trying to get aligned with them. This isn't necessarily stating that they're all working together now, but they just happen to be working together in this segment. So we're going to see if it leads to anything in the future, but for now, they were working together as Robbie E is running around with the turkey suit on. After that, we get a matchup featuring Mickie James defeating Brittany in 8:15 by pinfall to Mickie DT. 54 rating for the matchup. 56 from Mickie James, 41 from Brittany. Brittany getting a little bit better in ring performances. She was in like the 30s, so it's good to see she's pulling off 41 now. Magnus was at ringside, managing Mickie, obviously. Serena Deeb was at ringside as well, managing her partner, Brittany. Angelina Love was at the commentators table. Of course, Angelina Love and Mickie James set to go one-on-one in 10 days. And Allison Danger was at ringside because Allison Danger is going to be at ringside for every knockouts match between now and the pay-per-view to make sure that nobody gets physically involved with each other. So she's out there making sure nobody actually gets physically involved with each other outside of the match itself. Mickie James gets the victory, though. 54 rating. Pretty strong performance from her there. After the match, she's celebrating before she looks like she's going to attack Brittany and Serena Deeb, who's helping Brittany out of the ring. However, Allison Danger gets up on the apron, warning her not to do it. Mickie decides to back down, but as she heads to the back, she does talk trash to Angelina Love. The two just kind of mouthing off to each other without actually getting physically involved with each other to kind of help hype up that matchup heading forward. 49 rating for this segment here. After that, we get Kurt Angle and Rockstar Spud, which gets a 70 rating as Kurt Angle gets the victory in 7:13, that is by submission with an ankle lock. Really good performance there by Kurt Angle, getting a 73. Spud with a 59, which is pretty good as well. Very surprising there. Hoping to get Rockstar Spud a little bit better. I want to use him in the X Division a little bit more, but his in-ring performances were not that great. This 59 really looks good, but then against Kurt Angle, I don't know if he would be continuously doing that against other people. But I do plan on having him. Kind of get better and try to be in the X Division a little bit. I do have him set to go because we have a working relationship with Wrestle One, and so they have accepted Rockstar Spud to come over for 5 appearances on their show. So I'm hoping that helps get him a little bit better in the ring as well, since I don't use him in matches too often. We'll kind of see how that plays out, but yeah, big victory here for Kurt Angle as he gets a little bit of revenge on Rockstar Spud here. After that, Jeremy Borash is in the ring and introduces the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Johnny Impact. Impact and Maurice can walk out to the ring together with a bit of a superstar-like entrance as they get in the ring. Borash asks about Turning Point, and Johnny Impact says that the match with Aries was a tough one, but he's still standing as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Aries gave it his all, but could not get the job done against the true star of TNA. Borash asks about Magnus, and Impact kind of laughs a little bit at this. He says that he beat Magnus at Bound for Glory for the title, and he'll have no problem doing the same at Final Resolution, especially now that Magnus doesn't really have his backup anymore. I mean, he has Mickie James in his corner, but that's it. Nobody else isn't backing him up anymore, so he doesn't really have his backup anymore and doesn't really seem like he'll get it done against him. Johnny Impact says that he is the true star of Impact, of TNA that is, and that Magnus will not be the one who takes this championship away from him. He then poses with the championship as the show goes. I don't remember if it goes backstage, but it goes elsewhere. So this only got a 58, which is really disappointing. I didn't rate Jeremy Borash on anything. But Maurice was looking lost out there. I rated Maurice on sex appeal, so apparently her sex appeal is not as good as it used to be. I don't know why. But I only got a 58, which is kind of disappointing. But Johnny Impact bragging about the fact that he has no problem heading forward, planning and defeating Magnus. After that, we get a tag team matchup featuring Madison Rayne and April Mendez defeating Rosemary and ODB. Of course, remember these 4 had to be separated at Turning Point, so Allison Danger decided to throw them into a tag team matchup, And Madison Rayne and April Mendez get the victory when Rayne pins Rosemary with a raindrop. 68 rating for the match. Holy cow. That is a hot rated matchup for knockouts. Usually, I think the only knockout who's been able to ever get a 60-something rated matchup would be Gail Kim being involved. So that's huge for this. Madison Rayne and April Mendez showed excellent chemistry teaming together. So I'll have to remember that. They might be able to be a tag team heading forward. Granted, Madison Rayne is focused on trying to become the TNA Knockouts champion, as is April Mendez. But, in the near future, maybe they decide to go for a Knockouts tag team title goal together. That'd be something interesting. Nevertheless, this gets a 68 rating. Great matchup as we build to the singles matches happening at Knockouts Knockdown. After that, we have Jeff Hardy in a matchup against Kyle O'Reilly. Gets a 64 rating, which is kind of disappointing. Essentially, this was kind of... I didn't really want to put Kyle O'Reilly in the situation, but this is essentially just a let's make Jeff Hardy look good match, especially after his loss at Turning Point. So he gets the victory in 7 minutes by pinfall with a Swanton Bomb. Kyle O'Reilly, I didn't really want to put him in the jobber role, but I didn't really have anybody else outside of people who I've brought in for something else, which I will explain after the show. But, at least it gets him a little bit of attention, maybe a boost in popularity for that and stuff like that. So, nevertheless, Jeff Hardy getting a victory here, trying to get some of his momentum back. After that, Eric Bischoff is backstage in his office when James Storm walks in. Of course, James Storm with that really hard-fought victory at Turning Point. Bischoff shakes Storm's hand and says that Storm put on one hell of a performance at Turning Point. He said he knows that Storm has to be feeling sore after that fight, which is why he doesn't have the Cowboy in action tonight. Storm says that as much as he likes to kick ass, he's fine with not wrestling because it means more time for drinking. Storm produces another beer bottle and the two clink bottles together before taking a swig as the show goes back to ringside. So just a little bit of a segment here. I wanted to get James Storm on the show, but I didn't want him wrestling because we're trying to sell the fact that he's still feeling sore and beat up after that matchup, after the fight at Turning Point as well. I had something else kind of planned for this segment, for this conversation between the two of them, but I've decided not to go forward with it at this second. It will be happening. I just have to wait until we're a little bit farther along in weeks before I start pulling the trigger on it. So, but there's that. Nice little 75 rated segment there to continue to build up James Storm's popularity at this point as well. And then, in another match of let's feature a big star getting trying to look good in a matchup, we get Bully Ray defeating Kenny King in 647 by pinfall to release powerbomb. Of course, Bully Ray was at ringside for the world title matchup, but did not get involved in the finish at all. Bully Ray getting a victory here in a 70 rated matchup over Kenny King, who lost that match to Chris Hero at Turning Point. So Kenny King on a little bit of a losing streak. This time though it was against Bully Ray. So, he put up a good effort, but at the end of the day, Bully Ray was able to get the victory. After that, we get a promo from Black Friday management. They're seen in a dark room somewhere. Daniel says that he warned the world that he saw the future. And the future came to fruition at Turning Point. Of course, remember, a couple weeks ago on Impact, he warned that he saw Kazarian and the Wolves laid out on the canvas with Black Friday management standing tall, and that happened at Turning Point. He says the pieces have come into place now, and they have their final piece to watch Black Friday management rise to the top of TNA. Of course, that's when he kind of looks over at Samoa Joe, who in this moment, without officially saying it, basically gets announced that he is part of Black Friday management. Joe's just kind of standing there with an emotionless look on his face as usual. So it's clear that Joe is part of Black Friday management now, and that is honestly scary if you think about it. That's honestly really scary. Daniel says that he talked to Eric Bischoff after Turning Point, and it is official that at Final Resolution, Homicide and Low Key will challenge the Wolves for the TNA World Tag Team titles, although he says that they will take them away from them. So at Final Resolution, it will be the American Wolves defending the tag team titles against Homicide and Low Key. Daniel says it will come to be because Daniel sees the future. He sees Black Friday management standing above all of the broken bodies laid out at their feet. So some strong words there from Christopher Daniels. This got a 78 rating. very hot segment as Daniels makes it clear that Black Friday management is looking to take over the TNA world. And at this point, they might not have a whole lot of competition to be able to stop him. After that, AJ Styles waits in the ring for his opponent. When Chris Sabin comes out, of course, this is the main event. Chris Sabin says that in order for Styles to be Mr. TNA, he should also have to go through guys who have been here since the beginning, which is why tonight AJ Styles is going to go one-on-one with, and that's when the music of Black Friday management / the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels hits. The crowd boos as out comes the leader of Black Friday management, the man who we just heard from in what is clearly a pre-taped promo, because there's no way he got from wherever that dark room was to suddenly out there in a couple of minutes. Christopher Daniels nods to Chris Sabin before heading down to the ring for the main event. That's right. Our main event of our Thanksgiving edition of Impact is going to be AJ Styles going one-on-one with Christopher Daniels. And in that main event, we get an 85 rating. Let's go. Best match we've had in this series. I will gladly take it. The best match we have had in this series so far. In an exceptional matchup, AJ Styles defeats Christopher Daniels in 1903 by pinfall with a quick roll-up. During the matchup, Chris Sabin distracted AJ Styles, but during the distraction, while the referee was trying to chase Chris Sabin away, Kazarian came in from behind and attacked Christopher Daniels, laying him out, letting AJ Styles, not laying him out, but he attacked him by jumping up on the apron and hot-shotting him on the top rope. You know, that usual thing where they like bounce him off the top rope or whatever. Daniels staggered around and got rolled up by AJ Styles for the 1-2-3. AJ Styles getting a victory here. 85 rating for the matchup. 88 from Styles. 85 from Daniels. Let's freaking go. They have pretty good chemistry, obviously. Yeah, let's go. Truth be told, the reason why this got an 85, why this got suddenly better than any match we've had is, well, you can tell it's because it's a 19-minute matchup. I don't have a whole lot of people on the roster who can go 19 minutes, but Daniels and Styles can, so that's why I booked them like this long for this. Yeah, I don't have a lot of people who have the psychology and the stamina to be able to make a long match like this, so that's why I had to do it with these two. I have a couple of other people who can do it, but not really beyond that, so we'll kind of have to test out and see. But very big-time main event here on the Thanksgiving episode of Impact. After that, Chris Sabin runs down, despite the distraction, he runs down and attacks AJ Styles after the match. Daniels decides not to get involved and leaves the ring as Chris Sabin continues being down Styles while yelling out that he is Mr. TNA. Sabin then stands tall to end Impact. This got a 73. The show itself gets a 75. I will take it. I will take it because a lot of the matches that happened tonight were not as good as I was hoping, and a lot of the segments happening tonight were not as good as I was hoping either. So I will take a 75. Increased popularity in 9 regions, including but with some restrictions to all those regions there. So yeah, big time show for the Turkey Day episode of Impact, as we saw AJ Styles get a big time victory in the main event. Easily our highest rated main event, or our highest rated match we've had in the series so far. Big time match for sure. Of course, we also heard that is official for Final Resolution. It will be the Wolves defending against Homicide and Low Key. Defending the tag team titles, that is, against Homicide and Low Key. Didn't really see a lot of other matches get announced. Well, I guess technically we just saw another match get announced because we now know the finals of the Knockouts Tag Team Title Tournament, as it will be the Beautiful People taking on Team Kick for the Knockouts Tag Team titles. Not really a whole lot of other stuff get announced, but it's, you don't always need to announce a ton of stuff all the time. However, we are going to announce something else happening. Sorry, I just got to see something that I was pretty excited about that will be showing off in the future as well. But so we get to announce something else, which I'm going to do by showing you this past explosion. The explosion that happened the day before Turning Point 2014. As we need to run down a few things that happened on here. So you'll see that there's a few angles on here. That is because we have officially hired everybody that is in the World Cup coming up after the start of 2015. That comes up starting in January 2015. If you remember, I said a few shows ago that we are going to be having the World Cup happening in TNA. We have slightly tweaked it since that announcement. It originally was going to be the World X Cup. I have changed that. It is now the World Cup, but it is the World Cup for both male and female, because we're not being biased. It is going to be 2 separate World Cups happening at the same time, 5 different regions, with 4 participants apiece for each region, 4 males, 4 females, with the idea being that none of them were currently under TNA contract as of Bound for Glory. That means that all of them will be getting a chance to spotlight their abilities here in TNA. The winners will not only get a shot at any championship that they choose to go for, but on top of that, obviously because they're going to get title shots, they will also have guaranteed TNA contracts. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't end up signing other people from the World Cup series, or from the World Cup, but those will be on handshake, they'll be on handshake deals that will be potentially droppable at any point in time. We're talking actual written 1-year deals for the winners, on top of the fact that they get a guaranteed title shot at any point in the future. The World X Cup is going to go from January for probably a couple months. It was originally going to end at Destination X, which is in March, but I might extend it a little bit beyond that, just because now I don't have to worry about it being a X Cup or an X Division kind of thing. So we'll see. I kind of don't want it to end at Lockdown, though, which is in April, so I might just do like a random event sometime between Destination X and Lockdown that will be kind of like the Knockouts Knockdown thing, where it'll be just an event that just focuses on the finals of the World Cup. Anyway, long story short there. Your participants in said World X Cup, or said World Cup, I'm going to keep calling it the World X Cup now, because I'm used to calling it that. Your participants in said World Cup. Introducing Team Europe. Now, I went off of this based off of where they are originally from. So if the game has them listed as, oh, they live in America now, I didn't go off of that. I went off of where they were originally from. So it doesn't matter if, for example, it doesn't matter if Fergal Devitt was living in America, because he's European, he's on Team Europe. That's the idea behind this. So we have, as you see here, all the names are up top. I don't have to scroll through this whole thing. But for the women, we have Kaylee Ray, we have Leah Von Dutch, Nikki Storm, who many know as Nikki Cross nowadays, or Nikki ASH, and Rhea O'Reilly. For the men, we have Mark Haskins, we have Fergal Devitt, who obviously Finn Balor nowadays, Alex Kozlov, and I couldn't have him on this at the time because no, I did have this. Okay, there's a couple of teams that I have to actually tell you who the 8th member is, but the other member of the men's team for Team Europe is Tommy and, of course, the future Aleister Black. So that is Team Europe, both the men and the women's. They're not going to be competing intertwined with each other, but they might be involved in some segments with each other. But any matches are going to be strictly knockouts versus knockouts and males versus males. Team USA does feature Allison Kay, who in Impact World was, of course, Sienna, who is also one half of the NWA Tag Team Champions nowadays. Athena, obviously, Ember Moon / Athena from AEW. Christina Von Eerie, and the other female rounding out the women's team is Heidi Lovelace, aka Ruby Riott, or Ruby Soho, for those, for that. The men, Andrew Everett, who was in TNA at one point, but we brought back for this. Drew Gulak, Ricochet, and Rocky Romero, who, although being Cuban-American, is still technically American, even if he's living in Japan at this time. Team Oceania, as it were, because there is one or two people that aren't officially in Australia, so we have to go and call them Oceania. Team Oceania is Jack Bonza, Jay White, Jonah Rock, and Tama Tonga for the men. Yes, Tama Tonga technically is from Oceania because I don't know if, actually, to be fair, he was kind of my questionable one. I'm not sure if he was actually born there, but he is Samoan, so it does make sense that he would be representing Team Oceania from there. Admittedly, though, I did not look up where he was born ahead of time, so I probably should have done that, but it is what it is. I'd rather have him on Team Oceania at this point, especially because it was pretty much impossible to come up with anybody else who fit the standards I was looking for. And then on the female side, we have Shazza McKenzie, Casey Cassidy, the future, Billy Kay. Spaced on which one was which. Wait, I'm still spacing on which one is which. So, whatever. The point is, Casey Cassidy. And yes, we have Jesse McKay in our company too, so there is that. Might do something with that in the future. And then, of course, we have Demi Bennett, and then, obviously, future Rhea Ripley. And then the one member who I did not have signed at the time of this explosion, who has signed since then, rounding out the female side of Team Oceania, is, of course, Toni Storm. So, should be interesting there. Now, you do have to remember, as I say this, you do have to remember that this is also from 2014. So some of these people you know as stars nowadays weren't necessarily stars back then. For example, Bennett is only 17 years old at this point, and I don't think has really wrestled outside of Australia by this point. So there are going to be some that are really just not going to have that much of popularity or in-ring performances popularity based, because they won't have had a lot of experience yet. As you see Jay White, this is Jay White like within maybe 6 months of him leaving the New Japan dojo. Like, that's how young boy he is at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We have Team Canada, which is Chelsea Green, Cherry Bomb, future Allie, Casey Spinelli, and where is she? She is not there. Right. Couldn't hire her in time either. Actually, give me a second here. I got to double check and make sure. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so we couldn't hire the fourth member in time, but it was Nicole Matthews. Nicole Matthews is going to be coming in as the fourth member of Team Canada's women's team. And then the men's team, Ethan Page, Player Uno, Stu Grayson, the Super Smash Brothers, and Tyson Dukes. So that should be a very interesting team from Team Canada there, for sure. And then our final team, 5 teams in this World Cup. Our final team is Team Japan. The only reason this angle did bad in Explosion is because I put them all in Charisma, and it turns out that none of them can really talk, despite the fact that it was Charisma, which means that nobody was talking, but whatever. The Team Japan is rounded out by Hikaru Shida, Io Shirai, Kairi Hojo, and Leon. 3 of those 4 names you're probably very familiar with, especially if you watch nowadays. Obviously, Hikaru Shida's in AEW. Io Shirai is currently injured, but she's in NXT. And then Kairi Hojo, the former Kairi Sane, who is now back in wrestling and Stardom. And then, of course, as I mentioned, this is 2014. You have young boy Hiromu Takahashi. Very young boy there. Kota Ibushi. Soma Takao and their final member of that team was Akira Tozawa. I had to remember for a second who it was. So Akira Tozawa is the fourth member of Team Japan. So that is what we're looking at for the World Cup heading forward once we get into 2015 in the game. I think that's going to be pretty exciting stuff. We're looking at some very, very interesting competitors there. Some people who are future stars in their own rights. But here in TNA, they'll be given opportunities to potentially shine from there. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But thank you for watching this. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate continued support for the series. And we will see you guys all next time for Impact when it is the go-home show for Knockouts Knockdown.